On today's episode of College Press Box, we talk the losers and winners of the NFL Draft, we bring up the first round of the NBA and NHL playoffs, and we shout out our seniors here at TSTV Sports for one last time. All this and much more on College Press Box. Good evening and welcome to a very special edition of College Press Box, the 2026 Senior Show. I'm TJ Krilowitz with the pleasure of hosting alongside Giorgy Ruiz tonight, and we are extremely excited to be able to provide you with some analysis one last time here at TSTV Sports tonight. But before we get started, we wanted to remind you that College Press Box is brought to you by Cap Metro, Austin's transit system. We connect you to work, school, play, and everywhere in between. So plan your ride this weekend at capmetro.org. Once again, thank you for joining us for our last show of the year. We have 7 seniors in TSTV Sports who are about to walk the stage, and you will get to hear from all of them tonight. The first to step up to the stage will be Tyler Moss to talk about the biggest storylines from this past weekend's NFL Draft. Let's swing it to Giorgy Ruiz, who is with our highly skilled NFL analyst right now.
What is up, TJ? Thank you for that, and I'm so happy to be hosting with you on this very special and end of an era show. This year has arguably been one of the best years of TSTV Sports, and we're kicking it off with the latest stir in the sports world with Tyler Moss. But before we get started, Tyler, we have some new bling on us as well. I can't help
both
to see
of us
yours.
have that new bling.
No, but how are you feeling? How are you feeling about everything right now?
Feeling good. It's kind of crazy that this is our last year, our last show here at TSTV, but I'm excited to get through it and see what everybody has got as one final showcase.
Exactly, and you know, we have some of these bad boys, but maybe some of these teams might get some bad boys of their own. So with the draft now behind us, who do you think are some of the biggest winners of the draft this weekend?
Yeah, I think there was kind of 2 teams that stood out to me the most, that did the best with their picks in this year's draft. First and foremost, shockingly for many of us, was the Dallas Cowboys. I don't know if it was Bill Clinton crashing that presser or what did it, but Jerry and company did what they needed to. They sat at 12 with the rest of the world and watched Caleb Downs slide on down towards them, and then opted to trade up a pick and get him at 11. A trade back later in the first round turned the 2/5 that they used to move up into 2/4. So overall, they gained stuff to go and get Caleb Downs. They addressed the rest of their defensive needs the entire draft, which anyone with access to legacy television stations knew that they needed that desperately. The next team I want to look at is the Las Vegas Raiders. Of course, it might be kind of obvious, but the Raiders didn't miss what fell right into their lap. Taking Fernando Mendoza with the first overall pick was seen months ahead of the draft, but it was exactly what they needed. Mendoza will hopefully provide stable quarterback play for the Raiders after whatever Geno Smith did in the year prior, and this is clearly what the Raiders needed to do with the first pick, and it serves as a conventional start of the rebuild for that franchise. Among all 32 teams, those 2 teams stood out the most, and honorable mentions to the Browns and the Eagles, who also did a great job addressing all their needs with their picks.
You know, and it is kind of rare sometimes on this show. We really talk good about those Cowboys, and especially with the Raiders taking these, what you said, exactly what fell in their lap. But now that we've gone over the winners of the draft, let's take a look at the other sides of the coin. Who do you have as the losers of the draft?
It's a little bit of a longer segment here because I think it's easier to be more critical of these teams, and I'm going to look at 2 of them. Both of them are in the same division, actually. I want to start with one that maybe isn't a loser per se, but it's easily the most controversial draft outcome. And the 3rd overall pick, the Arizona Cardinals selected Jeremiah Love. This has single-handedly changed the perspective on the running back market. Love is a phenomenal prospect, and on talent alone was well-deserving of being drafted in the top 3. But with the way rookie contracts are structured, Love is now already the 7th highest running back in the league without taking a snap. His guaranteed money is $52.5 million, much higher than the previous peak of $36 million that Saquon Barkley was guaranteed by the Eagles. Time will tell whether this pick was right or not, but as far as getting value for the positions, the Cardinals did the complete opposite. I mentioned that the second team I'll talk about is in the same division, and that might clue you into who it is. The Rams selected Alabama quarterback Ty Simpson with the 13th pick, shocking most of the NFL fan base. There was a lot of debate about whether Simpson was even a first-round pick, and not even really whether he would go in the first half of the first round. The Rams were in a tricky spot at 13 after coming up just 4 points shy of a Super Bowl appearance in the NFC Championship. They didn't really have any glaring needs and only had 5 total picks in the draft. Using their earliest on a quarterback after Matthew Stafford just won the MVP is really interesting. You have to wonder, too, if it's a pick that Sean McVay himself endorsed, with much of his body language and demeanor reaching virality. No one knows Stafford's timeline, and maybe addressing a future quarterback problem was the best thing that they could do at 13, but I'm not sure whether Simpson is the right solution.
You know what, and honestly, only time will tell. You know, these picks have been surprising us, but since we hit the overarching story of the NFL draft, let's look at a little more locally and a little more crazily. How did Texas prospects fare in this year's draft? And there's been a lot of hurrah with this one.
Yeah, Texas was never going to be able to match the amount of draft picks that they had last year. Obviously very historic, but that wouldn't mean that they didn't put some quality players into the league. Anthony Hill Jr. was selected 60th overall, making him the first Texas player selected in this draft, and even that was a little bit later than most people expected him to go. He'll make the most immediate impact out of all the Longhorns selected, helping out in the Titans defensively. Malik Muhammad was selected in the 4th round by the Chicago Bears, and I expect him to also play a pretty big role on that team. And then from there, 3 straight Texas players were selected by the Dolphins in kind of a weird stretch. Trey Moore in the 4th, Michael Taft in the 5th, and DJ Campbell in the 6th. I think that Moore will see some reps, but Taft and Campbell will serve more developmental or backup positions. And finally, Jack Andrews was selected in the 7th round by the Bengals. Andrews was a player that many were surprised to see him declare for the draft, as he hadn't really added to his stock in the 1 year that he was here in Austin. It'll be interesting to see whether he holds a spot on the roster or maybe stay on the practice squad. Again, considering last year's historic results for Texas, this year is a small disappointment, but next year, Texas is going to have some different numbers because there's 4 Longhorns alone that might go in the 1st round. We're talking about Arch Manning, Cam Coleman, Trevor Gooseby, and Colin Simmons are all very early 1st round projections. Regardless of how successful the season is for Texas this year, it'll be very exciting to watch lots of the Longhorns become professional prospects.
You know, and we're definitely going to miss all the analysis behind the scenes. I want to thank you so much for everything you've done on this show. You know, before you sign it off, what's one final thing you would like to say?
Yeah, I think I just kind of want to talk about how important TSTV is and how important local journalism is on this campus. And yeah. TSTV gives, you know, that TV avenue for students the most. And yeah, so I'm excited. Once I graduate, I can always look back at what I did here at TSTV and keep up with everybody else who's helping keep TSTV alive.
No, for sure, and we can't wait to see you on the alumni show, so make sure you keep those meetings sharp. But thank you so much again, and we'll send it back to you, TJ.
Solid work, Tyler and Giorgy. That is some great analysis. When College Press Box returns, we bring the conversation to the diamond with Texas baseball. Our own TSTV Sports Co-Sports Director Grabiel Silva will be in the batter's box to give his thoughts on the recent series and the upcoming weekend against Mississippi State. All of this
Welcome back to College Press Box. We have an expert who has been on the diamond back-to-back, giving us some of the best clips of Texas b-ball on our Instagram this season. But here for a final time to give us insight to Texas baseball is Grabiel Silva. Take it away, TJ.
Thanks, Giorgy, for that, and she was definitely right. You definitely have a lot of those clips on baseball for that Instagram. It's been over 2 weeks since we went to College Station and saw the lowest point of the season for the Texas Longhorns baseball team, losing 2 of 2 on that weekend. But since then, the Horns have responded, winning 2 ranked series victories. I can't wait to hear what you have to say about this past weekend against Vandy. But before we do, how are you doing, Grabiel?
I'm doing great, TJ, and I'm sure Texas baseball is feeling a little bit better after securing another series win in Nashville against the Vanderbilt team that isn't having their strongest year, but they were no slouch against Texas this weekend.
Absolutely. That was definitely a tough barn to go into and win a series. So give us just a quick recap on what went on this weekend for Texas baseball.
Well, Texas baseball made their way to Nashville, like I said, to take on a scrappy Vanderbilt team over the weekend. On Friday, Dylan Volantis made his second appearance in the series opener role, and just like the weekend prior against Alabama, Volantis excelled in the Friday night role. He went 6 innings, gave up 4 hits and 1 run, while also accumulating 11 strikeouts. On the offensive side of things, Texas exploded just like they did the last time Volantis was on the mound, where they gave him 10 runs of support. They would score 11 on Friday against Vandy. Outside of some bullpen struggles from Max Grubbs, Texas cruised to a Friday night victory in probably their most complete game of the weekend. Then on Saturday, it was like a bizarro version of the team walked off the bus for Saturday night's game. Ruiz couldn't keep up the excellence he had against Alabama last week, as he only went 3 innings, gave up 8 hits and 5 runs with only 6 strikeouts. In the first inning, Vanderbilt was making a ton of good contact on him as they took the lead early. That early lead was all the Commodores needed, as Texas was completely blanked by the Vanderbilt pitching staff that basically had a bullpen game on Saturday. Texas only had 5 hits, 2 walks, and 14 strikeouts on offense on Saturday, as Vanderbilt pushed it to a rubber match for Game 3 on Sunday. Texas started off slow on Sunday again, as they had a 15-inning scoreless streak before they scored in the 4th inning to tie the game up at 2. Luke Harrison did his job for 4 1/3 innings, and then the rest of the bullpen held it down thanks to Brett Crossland, Hayden LeFew, and Sam Cozart, who all came in and held Vanderbilt at bay. Both teams were tied at 2 into the 8th inning, where Texas was able to break the tie with an Ethan Mendoza sac fly with the bases loaded. But in the bottom of the 8th inning, Vanderbilt was able to get to freshman phenom Sam Cozart with a 2-out double to score the run from first. The game went into extra innings, and Texas was able to score their 4th run thanks to a bases-loaded walk. Then in the bottom of the 10th inning, Coach Jim Schlossnagle said he didn't know if he was going to send Cozart back out there. So pitching coach Max Wiener asked him how he's feeling, and Cozart reportedly said, quote, "I'm going to die on the mound for this team." I don't know about you, TJ. That stuff gets me pumped up. Cozart went back out there and was able to close out the game, albeit without some stress, as the tying and winning runs were both in scoring position. Texas was able to push to win the game and the series to move to 13-7 in conference play with 3 more series to go.
Yeah, and I mean, it's going to be an interesting conversation. Obviously, they've given Volantis a lot of run support on these Friday night games, but they're starting to win Friday nights now with Volantis on that mound. So we'll see how that goes into the next following weeks. But how has Texas exactly bounced back since the A&M series other than switching Volantis on Friday?
Well, TJ, like you had mentioned earlier, Texas arguably hit their lowest point in the range-shortened series against Jim Schlossnagle's former squad. But what makes a team championship-worthy is how they respond to such adversity. Lots of teams could let what happened in College Station spiral into something much worse. Well, Texas hasn't let that happen just yet. They bounced back from an early deficit against Texas A&M Corpus Christi to win that game. The pitching staff completely dominated the Alabama series, but the offense kind of went quiet in games 2 and 3 that weekend as well. And then after a rainout last Tuesday, Texas took a hard-fought series against Vanderbilt. And after Sunday's game, Coach Schlossnagle said, quote, "It's been a while since I've been this proud of a team." That sounds like this team is handling adversity really well. And if they keep winning their conference series, they'll end up as a top 8 national seed in the postseason. And if everything is clicking, they'll certainly make some noise in the postseason.
Yeah, and you talk about a team that's starting to gain that momentum, but they still have a tough stretch of schedule or tough stretch of games coming up, especially this weekend. What are some of the next keys for the rest of the season going into Mississippi State and onwards?
Yeah, well, Texas does have 3 conference series remaining against Mississippi State, Tennessee, and Missouri. It kind of feels like a broken record saying Texas has another top-ranked opponent this weekend as the number 10-ranked Bulldogs come to Austin for what should be an electric matchup at the Dish. Now, I don't want to give you any PTSD, but it does look like there might be some rain in the forecast on Friday, so we'll see if the schedule gets moved around this weekend. Next weekend, Texas travels away from Austin for a series against Tennessee, who hasn't had the year they hoped for after the departure of previous head coach Tony Vitello, who left for the San Francisco Giants. Then Texas will take on Missouri, who is currently dead last in the conference. Texas has only lost 1 conference series so far this year and will look to continue that trend throughout the rest of the year. Moving on to keys for this team, Texas will need more production from guys outside of Aiden Robbins, Carson Tinney, and Anthony Pack Jr. Guys like Ethan Mendoza, Casey Borba, and Adrian Rodriguez will need to step up to add depth to this lineup and make Texas a serious contender. Rodriguez has been performing much better since he got the staple he had an allergic reaction to removed a few weeks ago. As far as the pitching staff, when all the starters are on, they're almost an impossible unit to stop. In the bullpen, I think we need to see some more from guys outside of Brett Crossland and Sam Cozart. Thomas Burns did look promising this past weekend, as did Jason Flores. I still personally feel that Texas hasn't played their most complete series yet, as far as starting pitching, the bullpen, and the offense all clicking at the same time over a weekend. If they can figure that out, they'll definitely be national title contenders.
Yeah, and you sound a lot like Steve Sarkisian. That's something he always said. You got to bring the offense, defense, and special teams together. A little bit different, obviously, with different sports, but sounds pretty similar. Grabiel, thank you so much for joining us here. Thank you for having us for the senior show. This is a great time so far. So, for one last time, now back to you at the desk, Giorgy.
Thank you, Grabiel and TJ. When College Press Box returns, we'll hand it over to an analyst who has been waiting for this NBA run playoff since 2019. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back to College Press Box. The first round of the NBA playoffs has been on fire with so many great series happening around the league. We have senior Raymond Gorvie joining Giorgy Ruiz to talk the best matchups so far.
Well, thank you, TJ, for passing it on, and welcome to the show, Raymond. I know we're unbiased here, but you're a big Spurs fan. How are you feeling right now?
I'm feeling good. The Spurs up 3-1. Wembanyama's back, looking better than ever. looking it up, we're up 3-1. So NBA playoffs is here. I've been waiting since 2019. First time we have played a non-play-in series in the NBA playoffs since 2019. So really excited.
No, and excited too. I just came back from San Antonio. It is a party down there, I will tell you. But glad we have the brother-sister duo here. Blood brother sister as well for the final show. Well, we typically see typically in the playoffs we see players that play above their regular season level. We call these players playoff risers, but this year we've seen some of major names underperforming. Raymond, who do you have been the biggest disappointment in the playoffs so far?
Many players are really disappointed for their team this postseason. I could think of Jalen Duren, Isaiah Stewart for the Pistons, the current Sixth Man of the Year, Keldon Johnson, and then the entire Rockets organization. Let's talk about that for a second. Their poverty, and when you look at it, how I think who's been playing underperforming has to be Nikola Jokic. I mean, just look at how he's playing against Rudy Gobert. He has Rudy Gobert looking like prime Bill Russell out there in Game 4, where the Wolves lost both Anthony Edwards and Dante DiVincenzo for the rest of the season. Jokic shot 0-6 from the field, and then in the fourth quarter, he also had 2 turnovers. Jokic is starting to get slander on his name for this generational foe that he's having right now. Jokic has only beaten one 50-plus win team in the playoffs in his career. And if he loses to an antless Wolves and he's already being down 3-1, it's really shocking.
No, and it is. You know, you see all this stuff on just the Twitter sphere and just everywhere that these are things that's just not supposed to be happening. But nice, when you flip the script, who do you believe have been the best playoff riser in the first round so far?
Rudy Gobert is putting on an absolute clinic against one of the all-time great centers and multi-time MVP and Jokic in this series. Rudy is absolutely shutting down Jokic, taking him out of the game in fourth quarters of this series, holding the Jokic to 7 of 26 in this series so far. Keep in mind, previous to this series, when these two met up in the postseason, Rudy Gobert struggled to guard Jokic, and many people throughout Rudy Gobert's career didn't respect his Defensive Player of the Year awards because of his playoff struggles against better competition. And in particular, Jokic entering this series, he averaged 27.9 points, 10 rebounds, and 7 assists against Gobert. But this series, Jokic is averaging 25 points, 14 rebounds, and 8 assists this series. But don't let the numbers fool you, because the kid is shooting 39% from the field and 18% from 3.
Well, you know what? These numbers don't lie, and your analysis is going great. But so this final one, both the Rockets and the Nuggets are down 3-1 to teams that are missing key pieces, like you mentioned even earlier. If both teams suffer a first-round elimination, whose legacy would be most impacted, KD or Jokic? And I know we've been also seeing kind of that heat of the rise with Jokic, so it's really just all or nothing right now. And so what do you think? This
question is simply based off the two players who are getting a lot of slander and dirt right now thrown on their names. Jokic, who is putting up an all-time stinker against the Timberwolves. To many, this might be the obvious answer, but here, due to Kevin Durant's injury throughout the first round. But if you really look at it, it's absolutely Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant, if you look at his career, he has two of the least respected championships all time, when he left OKC for the Warriors after he blew a 3-1 lead to that same team, having a starting lineup featuring 4 All-Stars. Kevin Durant, since leaving Golden State, wanted to prove that he could lead a team to a championship on his own. Went to Brooklyn just to form another super team in Brooklyn with James Harden and Kyrie Irving, and we saw how that turned out. Then when you look at the situation, didn't go his way. He left and went to Phoenix to form a team with Devin Booker and Bradley Beal, and that was a catastrophic disaster, which was basically destroyed the future of that team that has made the NBA Finals just a couple years ago. And now the Houston Rockets, Kevin Durant, who is turning 38 this year, I might add, is dealing with an injury that has held him to 1 game this postseason, and he's not getting any younger. And he just wasted another year. Kevin Durant is running out of time to turn around the perception on his career right now. And with teams like OKC, San Antonio, and the Timberwolves luckily avoiding injury, Anthony Edwards, and the Nuggets aren't going anywhere, and teams are just getting better like Portland and Phoenix, who will rebuild a solid young core, his time might be running out.
And you know what? As you know, even just seeing all this go down, I'm really going to also just miss your deep analysis, because I can hear the passion and always behind it. So, like I said, good luck to your San Antonio Spurs. Was there any final words you would like to say on this episode of College Press Box? I know I'm definitely going to miss doing this with you for sure.
I just want to thank you to everybody that's listened to all my packages that helped me along the way. And shout out to all the sports directors that gave me the opportunity to do what I do best and live out a lifelong dream of mine of covering sports. So I want to thank everybody.
Thank you, Raymond. We'll definitely be missing you here. I know, I definitely will. But back to you, TJ, signing off the brother-sister duo by blood.
Great analysis, Raymond and Giorgy. And Raymond, you might need to watch out what you say about Kevin Durant before he finds this video on YouTube and comments on it. When we return to College Press Box, it's going to get a little chilly as we get on the ice with Ali Schreibman to recap the start of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Don't go away, we will be right back.
Welcome back to College Press Box. Two of the biggest hockey fans in TSTV Sports is going to give us an update on the ice, and finally, the other woman unk with this TSTV senior group. That's TJ, you know what to do.
Thanks, Giorgy. You are totally right. Colin, you're not a top 2 fan in TSTV Sports. It's me and Allie. But Allie, thanks for coming on to talk, in my opinion, the best playoffs in all of sports, the Stanley Cup playoffs. How are you doing?
I could not be happier. It is my favorite. This is like Christmas for me. Favorite time of year. There's no postseason quite like the Stanley Cup playoffs anywhere else in sports.
Oh, I couldn't agree anymore. So we're about 4 games into the first round right now, and there have been some exciting series and even a few surprises. So can you tell us about what's been going on so far in this crazy first round?
Yeah, the first round of the 2026 playoffs absolutely has not disappointed so far. After 0 sweeps in the 2025 playoffs, there have already been 2 this year. Brady Tkachuk was relegated to bridesmaid with 0 points in 4 games as the Ottawa Senators get swept by the Carolina Hurricanes, despite an MVP performance from Senators goalie Linus Ullmark. Unsurprisingly, this year's President's Trophy winners, the Colorado Avalanche, make quick work of the LA Kings, who can't benefit from overtime losses in the postseason. But other than that, every series has been an absolute blast. In the West, the Mammoth are making the best of their first playoff appearance in franchise history, leading the Golden Knights 2-1. They play tonight. The Ducks are keeping things interesting against the Oilers. Leon Draisaitl is playing in this round, contrary to earlier injury reports, and he leads the Oilers in points. Meanwhile, Connor McDavid is in peak playoff McDavid form, which is to say he has 3 points in 4 games and has essentially been a non-factor in this series until last night. The Ducks, on the other hand, have been generating a whole lot of offense, scoring 22 goals in 4 games. If I didn't know any better, I would say the Oilers have a goaltending problem. The Ducks lead the Oilers 3-1. Moving into the East, the Penguins narrowly avoided the sweep by their in-state rival, the Philadelphia Flyers, on Saturday with a Sidney Crosby masterclass. And after a dominant 6-1 win yesterday, the Buffalo Sabres have a 3-1 series lead over the Bruins and will be playing for their first playoff round win in 19 years tomorrow. My favorite series, though, has got to be the Montreal Canadiens versus the Tampa Bay Lightning. I figured the Canadiens would put up a fight, but I did not expect them to play as well as they have been. This chippy series is tied at 2 games each, and 3 out of the 4 games have been decided in overtime. The one that wasn't was still a 1-goal game, with the game winner decided by Brandon Hagel in the last 5 minutes of regulation. This series has been physical, fast-paced, and insanely fun to watch. I can't wait to see how it ends.
It has definitely been that. I noticed you kind of left out one series in the West
I
right
may have.
there. You may have.
I may
So
have.
let's bring it back to Texas for a minute here, shall we? The Dallas Stars are tied with the Minnesota Wild at 2 games apiece. What's been happening in that series, and what can we expect in the next couple of games? Is there going to be a Game 7?
Well, this series has been exactly as exciting as I think we all hoped it would be, with 2 games going to overtime, including 1 late-night double overtime. The Stars had a disappointing first game, losing 6-1 at home. Minnesota was just dominating the offensive zone and didn't really give the Stars much breathing room, but every game since then has been cinema. The Ducks, on the other hand, have been generating a whole lot of offense, scoring 22 goals in 4 games. If I didn't know any better, I would say the Oilers have a goaltending problem. The Ducks lead the Oilers 3-1. Moving into the East, the Penguins narrowly avoided the sweep by their in-state rival, the Philadelphia Flyers, on Saturday with a Sidney Crosby masterclass. And after a dominant 6-1 win yesterday, the Buffalo Sabres have a 3-1 series lead over the Bruins and will be playing for their first playoff round win in 19 years tomorrow. My favorite series, though, has got to be the Montreal Canadiens versus the Tampa Bay Lightning. I figured the Canadiens would put up a fight, but I did not expect them to play as well as they have been. This chippy series is tied at 2 games each, and 3 out of the 4 games have been decided in overtime. The one that wasn't was still a 1-goal game, with the game winner decided by Brandon Hagel in the last 5 minutes of regulation. This series has been physical, fast-paced, and insanely fun to watch. I can't wait to see how it ends.
It has definitely been that. I noticed you kind of left out one series in the West
I
right
may have.
there. You may have.
I may
So
have.
let's bring it back to Texas for a minute here, shall we? The Dallas Stars are tied with the Minnesota Wild at 2 games apiece. What's been happening in that series, and what can we expect in the next couple of games? Is there going to be a Game 7?
Well, this series has been exactly as exciting as I think we all hoped it would be, with 2 games going to overtime, including one late-night double overtime. The Stars had a disappointing first game, losing 6-1 at home. Minnesota was just dominating the offensive zone and didn't really give the Stars much breathing room, but every game since then has been cinema. Both offenses are buzzing, with Jason Robertson leading the way for Dallas with 4 goals and 3 assists in 4 games, and Kirill the Thrill Kaprizov has been earning every penny of his record-setting contract with 6 points for the Wild. The story for me this series is probably the Stars' power play. They are 8 for 19 on the power play. That's 42.1%, meaning 72% of all goals scored by the Stars this series have been with the man advantage. Meanwhile, for the Wild, rookie goaltender Jesper Wallstedt, the Wall of St. Paul, has been outstanding, boasting a .929 save percentage and a 2.06 goals against average. This has been a phenomenal series so far, and whatever happens this week, I do think the Stars will be coming back to Dallas on Saturday for Game 7.
And you gotta give credit when it's due to Wolfstead for how he has performed in this series
As
for
a
the Minnesota
rookie,
Wild.
in
As a
his
rookie,
playoff debut, it's been very
absolutely,
impressive.
he has been a wall. Maybe the Wall of St. Paul, like people
Some
call him
could
as.
say.
Obviously, some can say. So, obviously, we're looking forward to the rest of that series.
Absolutely.
I know it's still early, but with what we've seen so far these playoffs, what do you want to see next, and what are your predictions for the Stanley Cup the rest of the way?
Well, honestly, the Oilers are really harshing my vibe right now, but I am pretty happy with most of my picks otherwise. I would say my biggest wish for the second round is to see a Bruins-Canadiens and a Stars-Avalanche matchup. I just think that would be 2 incredibly entertaining rivalry series. However, it looks like the Sabres haven't lost any steam in that series with the Bruins, and like we just said, the Stars have a battle ahead of them, so we'll see. I think at this rate, the Eastern Conference Final will be Tampa Bay and Carolina, and I think the Hurricanes will probably continue their long-standing tradition of choking in the conference final. In the West, I obviously have to reevaluate the Oilers as my cup pick, but I think we'll see the Avalanche take down the Golden Knights, who are underperforming against the Mammoth. Honestly, it could even be the Ducks facing the Avs in the Western Conference Final. They keep up this goal scoring. In any case, between Tampa Bay and Colorado, the Avs are the better team, but I am nothing if not superstitious, and the President's Trophy curse is real and it's science. So give me the Lightning to win it all. And by the way, these predictions will probably all change by the end of the night's matchups.
Well, you and me both with the Oilers. I came on Press Box just a few weeks ago, said they were going to win the Cup final. Now
We'll
they're
see.
down 3-1
We'll see.
in
We'll
the
see.
first round. They are oiling in the playoffs.
They're Oilers
a
in,
little
for
bit
sure.
too early now.
For
so
sure.
It's always a great time talking puck with you, Ali.
having me.
Thanks for joining us today. Back to you, Giorgy.
Great analysis, Ali. And TJ, just want to take a moment and say thank you, Ali. She did come in a little bit later in this TSTV Sports, but she fit right in, and we were lovely to have her. But when we return to this college press box, we'll take a look at this past week in Longhorn sports and see what's ahead. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Well, welcome back to College Press Box. Let's take a look at this week in Longhorn sports. Number 7, Texas completed an 11-2 sweep of Kentucky on Sunday in Lexington, marking its first conference sweep since mid-March against Ole Miss. Katie Stewart's sixth-inning home run at her 24th of the season helped secure the run rule win for the Longhorns. Texas will close the regular season next weekend at McCombs Field against Arkansas.
The number 3 Texas men's golf team saw its run at the SEC Championship come to an end with a tough 3.5-point to 1.5-point loss to number 4 Florida in the match play semifinals on Saturday afternoon at Sea Island Golf Club in Georgia. The Longhorns, who earned the number 3 seed in match play following the 54-hole stroke play portion of the event, posted a 3.5-point to 1.5-point victory over number 6 seed Mississippi State in Saturday morning's quarterfinals before falling to the number 2 seed Gators in the semifinals in the afternoon session.
Texas Beach Volleyball earned the number 2 seed in the 2026 NCAA Championship, marking its second highest seeding and second appearance in program history. Texas enters the winning after its first NPSF tournament title, finishing undefeated with wins over Grand Canyon, UCLA, and USC.
Now let's take a look at this week in Longhorn sports. Texas baseball returns to Dish Falk Field on Tuesday with a matchup against Sam Houston State at 6:30 on SEC Network Plus. Track and field and cross country will start the Texas Invitational at Mike A. Myers on Thursday with events going from 3:30 to 8:05. They'll be back at 9 a.m. on Friday with the last events happening at 2:55 to conclude the Invitational. Also starting on Thursday, number 4 ranked Texas softball will be at McCombs Field to play number 6 Arkansas to wrap up their regular season and what will have serious impacts in the SEC standings. Game 1 will be on Thursday at 7 on SEC Network. Friday's game will be at 2 on SEC Network Plus, and the season finale on Saturday will start at 12 on SEC Network Plus again. Men's and women's tennis start their pursuit for a national championship on Friday with the first and second rounds of the NCAA championship. The location and times for the games are still to be announced. Number 2 seed beach volleyball will be playing in the NCAA playoffs starting this Friday with their first matchup against number 15 seed Georgia State. The first set will start at 1 p.m. Central Time in Gulf Shores, Alabama on ESPN2. And lastly, Texas baseball has their weekend series against ranked Mississippi State at Disch-Falk Field starting on Friday as well. First pitch will be at 6:30 on SEC Network Plus. Saturday's game will be back on SEC Network Plus with first pitch at 2:30, and the series finale on Sunday will be at 1 on ESPN.
Well, that concludes this week's episode of College Press Box and my time at TSTV. It's been an incredible experience filled with memories, friendships, and moments I will never forget. But I'm not the only one saying goodbye tonight. To my fellow seniors and to everyone who has made an impact on the organization this year, thank you. And of course, the underclassmen of TSTV wanted to send us off as well. So they put together a very special videos for our seniors. Enjoy.
A team that won the West last year is a team I think still wins the Central Division this year again. The Dallas Stars will never not look loaded on paper. The question is, are the Stars ever going to line for them in the postseason?
It's obvious that Steve Sarkisian thinks that this team can compete in the SEC as well. He sent a pretty big warning to the SEC in his opening press conference, stating that the standard, part of the standard of being the standard at the University of Texas is winning championships.
And he didn't let how close the game was affect his play style. He played like a veteran out there, showing composure through the air, and once he got his legs running in the second half, Mississippi State struggled to have an answer for Manning and the offense.
After 4 long weeks of being on the road, the Texas football team will finally be playing inside the confines of DKR this Saturday against number 9 ranked Vanderbilt. This truck behind me has been working overtime throughout this entire month of October. Like I said, 4 road games. They've went 3-1 in that stretch, but they did come out a little bit battered. One of the most notable injuries so far being quarterback Arch Manning, who went in the concussion protocol, as Steve Sarkisian said today on his press conference.
You might think the defense wins championships, but my friend, that is not true. The Tournament of Champions wins championships. So buckle up. We got a loaded show here to decide who will have their name in College Crossfire history in the Fall 2025 Tournament of Champions. Well, if the 7-3 Texas Longhorns want to make the college football playoffs right now, it's pretty simple. They just have to win out and pray. They have 2 games left against Arkansas and then the unbeaten Texas A&M Aggies. Both are going to be in Austin. In Athens, TSTV Sports, TJ Krilowitz. And with that, this year's College Crossfire is officially over. As always, thank you to everyone who makes the show possible, from the contestants to the in-studio personnel, all the people in master control, especially our executive producer, Grabiel Silva, who's on stage right now, and Tyler Strimple, who was the director of this show. Shout out to him. And lastly, thank you to the audience, whether here or online. Thank you so much for always tuning in. Thank you for watching.
Hola, ¿cómo estás? Mi nombre es Tyler Moss.
I just don't think it makes that much of a difference in throwing the football. So for that reason, it is the worst way to cheat.
Oh, interesting.
If you're going to cheat, cheat.
A 75-yard screen pass before the half, a 4th and 2 Will Howard run up the middle, or a 2nd and goal stretch run play near the end of the game. There are a lot of different plays that you could look to point for the reason why Texas lost this game, but the reality of it is they get bounced in the second semifinal for the 2nd consecutive season in heartbreaking fashion.
So, I was directing College Crossfire. As you guys know, I was the EP of Crossfire last year, and our good buddy Ike Kohler was on the show answering. You guys may remember this.
I saw that guy too.
Rapid fire question, greatest dunk of all time. And Ike Kohler is going, I'm going to have to go with MJ. I think he's just the greatest to ever do it. And for some reason, a video of barbecue chicken, just with glaze getting poured on it, pops up on the screen. Because the next rapid fire question was best concession food, and Joe took that VO for some reason. So there's just this clip of Ike glazing MJ, and barbecue chicken shows up. It's one of my favorite moments to ever sit in that control. Probably the hardest I've ever laughed in that control room.
I think it's a bad precedent for the committee to put a 3-loss team, whether you're as good as Texas has been this year. They've still been flashy. They've still been streaky. If they were
Tyler Moss, team, TSTV Sports. Whatever, it's fine.
Welcome back to College Press Box. Here to talk Texas volleyball is Campbell Cho. How are we doing today, Campbell?
I'm good. You know, Texas volleyball is undefeated in the SEC, so I mean, how can you not be any good, really?
No, you're right. And you know, just starting off, they started off the season a little rocky, but are now 2-0, as you said.
What about this game stood out the most for them?
Well, what stood out the most was the balance on both sides of the ball. Texas offense was clicking directly from the start, putting up 406 total yards, while the defense held Oklahoma to just 236. Down goes number 1 Texas to number 5 Georgia, and a stunning matchup here at DKR. You know, the Texas had a rocky start in the first half, and they started picking it up in the second half, but it just wasn't enough, and Georgia pulls through with a 30-15 win here at DKR.
And lastly, on third base, she's the mastermind behind our social media. Welcome, Giorgy Ruiz.
What up? Appreciate that, brother. Yeah.
Rowdy crowd.
First time ever in College Crossfire. Yeah, I'm actually really scared and nervous, so go easy on me, guys. I've avoided this.
What stood out to you in that game, and how did the team respond throughout the rest of the tournament?
Well, first of all, I do want to say that Arizona State's loss showed both Texas's strength and their biggest growth area. Dalen Swain was incredible. He had 24 points out of 10 out of 14 shooting, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists.
Playoffs.
Yeah, they might not make the playoffs.
I don't know.
But
they may be mathematically eliminated.
Runner-up answer, Carolina. Not the Carolina. Just the Panthers, not the Carolina.
Panthers.
The Florida Panthers are.
Oh yeah,
It's okay.
Well, like we said, Texas men's basketball had a highly anticipated matchup this Wednesday night with big names like Steve Sarkisian, Mac Brown, Michael Taft, and even their former head coach, Rodney Terry, in attendance. The Texas Longhorn has everything set for a star-studded night. Instead, Texas men's basketball fell flat.
Let's welcome on Raymond Gorvie.
Thank you. Get ready for the best rookie performance you have ever seen since Candace Parker's MVP and Rookie of the Year season in 2009. Get ready for it.
Joining us now is a very special guest, women's basketball analyst Raymond Gorvie. How are you doing, Raymond?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, TJ?
Doing pretty good on this Friday morning.
Listen, I respect the game. I'm going to get up, grab the football, go back with my teammates and get the ball to the ref. Because we're still on a drive here. It's a first down. We're still driving here. What we celebrating for? We got to score a touchdown. What we celebrating for? It's a first down. You said first down. Why are we celebrating first downs?
Who is Jay Huff? We don't know. But I think he should get brownie points because he tried. He tried his best and he made a name for himself. He got himself a highlight. He's from Detroit. He plays for the Pistons. You know, I'm milking for a pick here.
Well, here's the thing: is you're gonna get that pick.
Texas men's basketball players, who would be making your squad?
Give me the starting point guard, DJ Augustine, right there. Give me a shooting guard, TJ Ford. Small forward, I want PJ Tucker. And then at power forward, I want Kevin Durant. Actually, switch that. I want Kevin Durant at small forward, PJ Tucker at power forward. And then at center, LaMarcus Aldridge. That's the top. That's the 5. That's the best lineup, I think. Last week's upset loss versus Florida in the Swamp. Texas was looking to bounce back after allowing 7 sacks last week. Texas was looking to use this opportunity against the Oklahoma Sooners, their biggest rivals, to hopefully get their offense back on track and potentially save their season. The Texas Longhorns are off to an undefeated and 10-0 start under head coach Vic Schaefer, who is in year 6 with the program. The Longhorns are also one of the most battle-tested teams in all of America, having defeated 4 ranked opponents, including 2 wins over UCLA and South Carolina in the Players Era tournament.
I would just like to say thank you, TSTV Sports, and all the people that I met. Thank you. Hook 'em. Thank you, everything.
Good evening and welcome back to College Press Box. My name is Santiago Ortiz.
How you guys doing this morning?
Phenomenal. How are you?
I'm pretty amped up, excited to be on the show, making my TSTV debut. I'm doing great, TJ. I'm really excited to co-host with TJ, one of my best friends, and this should be a pretty good episode.
Come on, man. All right. Too nice.
I've been waiting a long time for this one.
All right.
On Tuesday, Texas held its pro day in front of scouts from all 32 NFL teams. Texas had 9 players participate in the pro day, including quarterback Quinn Ewers, cornerback Jahdae Barron, and left tackle Kelvin Banks.
I think I'm going to go first on this one just to make sure I don't steal Michael's pick again. I'm going to go with former Undisputed host, current, I guess not currently anymore, First Take host, Shannon Sharpe. If you know, you know. All I have to say about Shannon Sharpe is, chasing tail, going to jail, judge, please give me bail. Lakers in 5.
I really think that Texas fans should start buying their tickets to the Cheez It Bowl, because I think that's where we're ending up this season. I just don't have any faith in this team from what I've seen. We're going to enter James Harden. We're going to go to a certain location that has a lot of people who enjoy to dance. Like, we're going to drink around the world at Epcot. And we're going to scroll reels for like 2 hours.
Well, TJ, I feel like you're just really projecting that you had a not great weekend in College Station. I think you're letting your anger. Yeah, I think you're just taking a lot of anger out.
Really? I want to say thank you as well. Me and TJ were orientation roommates, and TJ brought up the other day that as he was entering the room to orientation, I was leaving. And if he 3 seconds or 5 seconds later, we would never met. We'd never got on that same page, and honestly, that blew my mind. TJ, I'm just very glad that I got to know you, and we got to spend these 4 years together, and that you got to introduce me to TSV. I really appreciate that, man. For TSTV Sports, this is Santiago Ortiz signing off.
And introducing third, but definitely not last, a previous winner this season looking to retake the throne, Grabiel Silva. Grabiel, how are we doing?
I feel pretty good, happy to be back on the show. Happy to not see Jason Conander sitting next to me because he was a tough opponent. But I'm ready for this week's show.
The madness is slowly approaching. It's heating up on the diamond. The NFL free agency was on fire earlier this week. And of course, we got some great rapid fire questions. All of this and much more on tonight's College Crossfire.
Batting first, she hasn't witnessed a playoff for her hockey team since middle school. Welcome, Ali Schreibman.
That was really mean. That felt mean and unnecessary, TJ, but I got this hot dog puppet that I found 20 minutes ago who I'm emotionally attached to.
How do you think this team can continue its winning ways for the rest of the season?
Well, after running through a gauntlet of ranked opponents, there's actually nobody left on the schedule who is currently ranked. So for Texas, it really comes down to 2 things. Remembering who they are and making sure they don't underestimate anybody. If they keep that edge night in and night out, this team has everything it needs to keep stacking wins in SEC play and remain undefeated for much, much longer.
That'll do it for here. Thank you for joining us again, Ali.
I'm gonna have like really good, clean, PG fun in a karaoke room. I love karaoke. I'm gonna preemptively apologize to everyone back there. I might talk a lot. So Tyler has written in the script, Ali, please rant. I would love to do that.
We have no offense at 5-on-5. Our power play is terrible. Our penalty kill is terrible. I thought we're out of the month of March. It's April. They'll remember how to play hockey. Wrong. They still don't look like they want to be there. Patrick Kane's hip is giving out. He needs to retire. Alex DeBrincat is the only person on this team who wants to be on the ice. Lucas Raymond doesn't know how to shoot the puck, even though he has one of the best releases in the Atlantic Division. Also, the rest of the Atlantic Division is suddenly good. When did that happen? Colin, when did that happen?
Never.
It's never happened before. The Pacific and the Atlantic.
The Sabres are up.
The Sabres are good. The Sabres had beers and now they're good. The Sabres had beers and now they're good at hockey, and now they're at the top of the Atlantic. They're probably going to clinch the division title. And they haven't been the last in 15 years. I don't know what the Detroit Red Wings are doing. It's not even Steve Yzerman's fault because he built a roster that can win and did win for like 4 months. And then every March, I don't know if it's not a coaching issue. I couldn't tell you what's going on. All I know is that the Red Wings have made me so sad.
However, yesterday Dylan Larkin scored a hat trick and they beat the Flyers 6-3. So I'm gonna take the Red Wings.
That concludes this week's edition of College Press Box and the spring semester of College Press Box. Thank you for tuning in throughout the year. We also invite you to follow our coverage on Instagram, X, TikTok, and YouTube at the handle TSTV Sports. Catch up with all of us. We're going to be here on the 40. And thank you so much to our executive producer, Kenneth Ungar, and all our reporters in TSTV. I'm Giorgy Ruiz. He's TJ Krilowitz. Thank you for watching, and have a great night, and we'll see you next year.